Good evening, folks. I'm Harold Johnson. Nice to see the smiling faces. For 35 years, we did this thing called broadcasting, and we were very fortunate to meet so many wonderful people on our journey. But our journey now is continuing, and we're headed north. We're headed up to Washington, D.C. with your support. And I saw recently a poll, over 80% of the American people said everything is broken in Washington. 75% said they would not use the word honor to describe their elected official. That is pathetic. You as voters deserve better. You as voters deserve the integrity that when you speak, somebody in Washington should be listening. When 65% of the American people say we don't like a bill, somebody needs to listen in Washington. And they didn't listen, and they passed health care. Now, when I stand up here and tell you what I want to do, when I think about what lies ahead for your children and your grandchildren, the debt that is being accumulated by this government, it's astronomical. You know it, everybody knows it, and yet it continues to mount and mount and mount. We are in a very critical situation, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we see Republicans uniting stronger than ever. By Labor Day, we're going to see gas prices over $3.50 a gallon, approaching $4 a gallon. I would like somebody, and I would give you the rest of my time, if you can tell me that we have a viable energy policy in this country as I stand here and speak to you. We do not. We do not have a viable energy, any kind of energy policy that we can look at and say, you know, we're headed in the right direction. The world is going to nuclear energy. China is going to build 90 nuclear plants over the next 20 years. Japan, Russia, the Ukraine, everyone's going to nuclear, folks. And we get here and everybody gets scared to say nuclear. It's safe now, it's clean, it reduces emissions. We should be drilling for oil as well. Billions of barrels of oil, we need that oil. We need oil from Anwar, 1 million barrels a day. We need it, folks, and we have to send representatives up there that can get the job done and get it going. And I would appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
The 8th district can't be won with Republican votes alone, so I'd just like to know how each of you plan to appeal to Democrat and independent voters throughout the 8th district, if you were to get past the primary to win the general election in November.
Folks, something we have to remember here, as good Republicans, the bottom line is a lot of these policies and a lot of these laws that have been passed aren't affecting not only Republicans, but affecting Democrats as well. Many of you have friends who are Democrats, and you hear what they say to you when you talk about what's going on. They don't like it either. And if I get enough Democrats to vote for me in November that have said they would, I'll carry 2 or 3% of the Democratic vote, because they're being hurt just as much as we are. And they know that too as well, and they see the change coming.
Who's going to win the Republican primary set you up against Larry Kissel in District 8. The big issue that everyone's the most angry about is health care. He voted against the health care bill. So I'd like to know what issue you all would run on considering that against him.
I want each of you to maybe address the issue of fundraising and the term war chest. It was reported a good while ago that Larry Kissel really wasn't a good fundraiser. Obviously, he's done a political ploy with his vote on health care. Now that the DNC would recognize that this district is vulnerable, and looking at the fact that there are 6 Republicans with great credentials behind them actually vying for his seat, is there a concern of any of you about his ability to have fundraising or get external money that will be pumped in, just like we had here in the city of Charlotte, where Anthony Fox, the majority of his money was brought in from outside of the county, outside of the city, outside of the state, and we had a loss in our mayoral position there in that regard. So I'd like to know about your war chest, and how are you going to counteract the DNC war chest? Because regardless of what they might like about it or not like about it, I'm sure they're going to try to cover his you-know-what, and they're going to put some money in his tank. So I want to know how you're going to put money in your tanks.
You can't arbitrarily put a number on, for example, cap and trade, and just say, I want to reduce emissions 20 or 25%, which the president has done over a course of 8 to 10 years and not offer something to replace that with. The experts, economic experts, are saying that if this cap and trade were to pass, in years following that, we would have zero growth, we would have zero economic growth in this country, which means loss of jobs, period.
I want each of you to maybe address the issue of fundraising and the term war chest. It was reported a good while ago that Larry Kissel really wasn't a good fundraiser. Obviously, he's done a political ploy with his vote on health care. Now that the DNC would recognize that this district is vulnerable, and looking at the fact that there are 6 Republicans with great credentials behind them actually vying for his seat, is there a concern of any of you about his ability to have fundraising or get external money that will be pumped in, just like we had here in the city of Charlotte, where Anthony Fox, the majority of his money was brought in from outside of the county, outside of the city, outside of the state, and we had a loss in our mayoral position there in that regard. So I'd like to know about your war chest, and how are you going to counteract the DNC war chest, because regardless of what they might like about it or not like about it, I'm sure they're going to try to cover his you-know-what, and they're going to put some money in his tank. So I want to know how you're going to put money in your tanks.
It happened last election. Larry Kissel got a huge influx of money, the external you're talking about, from the unions. He got a tremendous amount of money from the unions. Where it comes down to this, and you've heard the expression before, money is the mother's milk of politics. And that is so true. So I say to each of you, before you leave tonight, it would be very nice for you to write a very nice check to each one of us in the amount that you can go to $2,400 or $4,800, man and wife. And we all would give you a big smile and say thank you very much, because you brought it up and I know you want to help. Thank you.
Over the past about a month or so, in watching everything transpire with your race, because we would like to know if you guys would like to take the opportunity to essentially ask your other running mates a question or two. So, Harold, we'll start with you.
We'll ask them all collectively or just one?
You can choose.
Just one or all of them?
You can ask them all, or you can ask just one.
Well, since December, I've been a major proponent of energy. Energy. We don't have it in this country, and we need to get it. And I would ask my friends to give their position on energy, how they feel about it, which way we should go. I'm in favor of nuclear energy. It's safe, it's clean. We need to be drilling. We need to get into ANWR. We do it safely and prudently, but we have to do it, folks. And if you look at the polls, the American people agree this is what we should be doing. But I would start with my good friend here, either Lou